Alright, let's see what we have for breakfast today. We got some apples, see, I got some bananas, and then we have some. No. No! No!
あどけない気持ちでも大人の恋に Oh yes 横にでもどこもあるこの楽さは憧れより憧れ以上の夢を追い抱いてるだから少女じゃいられないほど愛を呼ぶ
Hikari Konohana said this before she departed for her date with Amane Otari. If I had magical powers, I try to let time flow by much faster. And to be honest, I also wish I could control time. That way I wouldn't have to wait for the bus all the time and perhaps speed up downloads so I can get more projects done. But I would also go back in time, especially when we're living in dark times. If I had the power to travel back in time, I would go back to the day where I found this gem of an anime. The first Yuri that got me into the Yuri genre, and I haven't departed since. And 20 years have passed since its debut, and though it isn't talked about as much as it should, at least that's what I think, I believe it's a series that deserves more praise. I consider this to be a timeless series that tells the story of love, jealousy, tragedy, and friendship. On April 3rd, 2026, Strawberry Panic turned 20. A little bit of a backstory before I start gushing about this series because I have several things to say. Strawberry Panic began as a short story series written by Sakurako Kimino, a Japanese novelist who also created Sister Princess and co-created Love Life, a popular idol group that's still ongoing as of this recording. Strawberry Panic began as a light novel series in 2003 with an anime adaptation produced by Madhouse in 2006. There was also a visual novel produced in 2006 for the PlayStation 2, which I would never think there would be a visual novel. Between 2005 and 2006, a radio show named Lentis Web Radio hosted a radio show dedicated to Strawberry Panic by having the voice actresses of two of the prominent characters, Maya Nakahara, who voices Aoi Nagisa, and Ai Shimizu, who voiced Tamao Suzumi. She also voiced Kizuna Hyuga as well. During its initial run, Strawberry Panic garnered some mixed reception, with the anime described by one named Erica Friedman as wasn't brilliant, but considering that it was meant to be trashy, it pulled out a few moments of dignity and elegance out of the trash heap. American comic artist Jason Thompson described the manga as a nearly pointless cascade where everything seems rushed, and it is difficult to keep track of the characters and plot. The home video released by Media Blasters was more favored, with Anime News Network describing it as a lot of fun and very laid back. The DVDs were generally mixed as these releases contain 3 to 4 episodes a box. Science struggles to be compelling, mixed feelings of the fan service with some concerns of the chemistry of the characters. Strawberry Panic, for today's standards, isn't really that talked about as opposed to other Yuri out there. I mean, there's not too much. There's Citrus, Blooming to You, Kazi-san and Morning Glories, Fragtime, Sweet Blue Flowers, Wishing Me a Love Song, Soccer Drag, Simone, There's No Freaking Way I'll Ever Be Your Lover unless... And for something stronger, and by stronger I mean hentai, shoujo sect. Don't judge me. But if anyone doesn't know what Yuri is and is curious to dive into the genre, then Strawberry Panic is a perfect start for anyone getting into Yuri. The cast is big enough to follow without being overwhelmed or presenting too much, something that I had a personal problem with when I saw Bleach for the first time. Damn 13 court guard squads. The locations may look dated, but I think it adds to the charm. One look at these visuals and you probably want to make your own master copy. I know I would. And though the animation isn't as rich as your typical shonen or shoujo, it never felt drying or unrealistic, except maybe playing the piano. Animating instruments is always a struggle. So production-wise, Strawberry Panic, at least the anime, does capture the aesthetic of what Strawberry Panic is. A tale of romance between girls in this classy-looking school located on top of the hill. Or should I say schools? Okay, from this point on, I'll be discussing some key plot points of the series without spoiling too much because even though it has been 20 years, I urge anyone to see this series for yourselves. So I won't be going too heavy with the plot here, but I'll discuss enough without much spoilers. So don't worry about potential spoilers because I'll keep those at a minimum because you should really see this series for yourself. On this hill, known as Astria Hill, there resides a school that consists of 3 different schools. Miator, the oldest school known for holding old traditions with a 100-year history. Spica, known for its saintly chorus choir and was built after Minotaur, and Lulam, the newest of the three schools and are considered more relaxed and free as opposed to Minotaur and Spica, who aren't really on the best of terms. And it just so happens that Aoi Nagisa is transferring to the school as a Minotaur student. She's so excited that she can't simply slow down. She wanders in the woods and finds a mysterious silver-haired woman. Perplexed with her beauty, Nagisa passes out right then and there. She wakes up in the infirmary only to find a blue-haired girl wearing a black dress. This is Tamao Suzumi, friend and roommate of Nagisa. I say friend loosely because over time she would really get to know Nagisa personally. Her measurements, her personality, and even her screams.
この声の震え、このおののき、半べその渚ちゃん。たまりませんわ。
Don't mind her, this is perfectly normal. Turns out her black dress is actually the Minotaur school uniform, which is why Tamio took Nagisa's measurements for Nagisa's uniform. The black dress with the knee-high boots looks good on her. In fact, I did the Minotaur uniforms more than the Speaking on Lulam uniform. The Speaking uniform has a high emphasis on white with its light blue top and a patterned bow tie. A complement color compared to Minotaur's black dress uniform with a green tie and a white top. The Lulam uniform is mostly red and pink with a touch of white. A good uniform that stands out from the other two schools. Once Nagisa receives her uniform, she now begins her life as a Minotaur student. Get to know her classmates, learn more about the other schools and their cultures, and even make friends along the way. Of course, Tamiya will always be her partner in crime, but she will also meet the adorable Chiyo, who was very eager to be Nagisa and Tamiya's room temp, meaning a maid. Hikari, a sweet girl, who alongside her mischievous friend Yaya, are part of Spica's choir. Noriko Mizushima, a strong-willed girl who's into archery. Chihaya Takamura, friend and roommate at Mizushima. Don't mind the break room they might get into. And of course, the girl that might as well took Nagisa's breath away. Shizuma Hanazono, also known as the Etoile. The Etoile is a representative of all three schools and they are paired with another person as their partner. In other words, the Etoile system also has the rule of two. Shizuma came off as someone who was rather eccentric and a bit of a loose cannon. One moment she would carry herself formally and the next she would run out to who knows where. I honestly didn't trust Shizuma at first when I first saw the series, but when I learned more about her, the more I understood her. She comes off as a respectable figure on the outside, yet has a more endearing and playful nature on the inside. Almost too intimate. Over the series, we see her interacting with Nagisa, thus opening up to her bit by bit. And I actually like this total progression. No leads just to establish a relationship between the two, no strong depictions, just two girls enjoying each other's company, and I feel that. However, the series doesn't just focus on Nagisa, as it also centers around Hikari and her fetching towards the horseback rider that garnered a lot of attention, Amane Otori. Since Hikari is described as an angel due to her singing, this was enough to grab Amane's attention. The two will slowly but surely bond with Yaya, teasing her on several occasions. In fact, Yaya is by far the more relatable girl in Spica. Even though she playfully teases Hikari, she's actually a reliable friend to Hikari. Always giving her the support she needs, Yaya is always looking out for Hikari, even supporting her whenever Hikari wants to do something special for Amane, whether it be singing or giving her a present. She also has a guilty pleasure to teasing and or scaring people. Not that I mind, I actually enjoy Yaya. She also has her own problems handling her feelings for someone she's in love with, but that's actually going to spoiler territory. All in all, the girls that Nagisa makes along the way share a healthy bond, and the girls even start their own tea party where they share cookies and cakes. Girls should do this all the time. But it's not just Minotaur and Spica Nagisa makes friends with, because there's also Lulam, where she meets the dynamic duo that is Ramon and Kizuna, whom are suspected to be a couple as these two are seen together almost all the time. The young and endearing Kagome, whose best friend is a teddy bear named Percival that she couldn't let go of. Seriously, this teddy bear might as well be her soulmate because this bear is like her familiar. Asking Percival for advice, spinning it like a basketball. I get the feeling that bear is more than it seems. And of course, my personal favorite character in this entire series, Chikaru. Oh my god, Chikaru. Words do her no justice. She's a student counselor in Lulam and head of the club activities that happen around Lulam, from cosplay to cooking and even solving mysteries. Chikaru is a fun, creative, and thoughtful girl who helps those in need and does her best to bring smiles wherever she goes. Not only that, but she's quite the looker. Whether she's chilling on the beach or dresses for snowy weather, Chikaru is a beauty to behold, especially when she takes center stage. God, I love Chikaru. She's so incredible. In fact, a few honorable mentions of some of my favorite characters in this series. Tamao Suzumi, friend of Nagisa and creative writer and poet. She forms a strong bond with Nagisa to the point where she even fantasizes about sharing an umbrella with her. She's also very knowledgeable of the traditions of Austria Hill and enjoys gossiping about what transpires among the three schools. She also has a playful side, which I find enjoyable. Yaya Nanto, friend of Hikari and part of Spica's choir. She's known to tease Hikari from time to time, but is always there to help her when she needs it. Like Tamao, Yaya is very close to Ikari, but is sensitive about her feelings. Yaya is a girl that is full of love and passion, and that becomes most evident in her singing. And a little shout out here, Kagome Byakudan, a soft-spoken girl who's always carrying a teddy bear wherever she goes. Though she comes off as lonely and distant from others, she eventually befriends the students of Lulum and even helps with the investigation of the Blue Umbrella. She may not seem like much, but Kagome is more than meets the eye. And finally, Chiyo Tsukidate. Very klutzy, yet determined to help those in need. She forms a bond with Nagisa and Tomio and befriends other students. Chiyo's determination to be with Nagisa as much as possible is something I admire about Chiyo. I know she can find someone special that admires her determination. Stay determined, Chiyo. As for the music of the series, I describe it as classical with an emphasis on piano, violin, and even the oboe. A mesmerizing soundtrack to listen to, and each piece sets the mood perfectly. A soundtrack such as this perfectly sets the look and feel of Strawberry Panic. At first watch, I wasn't really fond of the outros as they feature live-action performances by Mai Nakahara and Ai Shimizu, but over time I've adjusted, my personal favorite being Himitsu-Dolls. I would honestly switch the outros in accordance to their order because the first half of the anime is more lighthearted as opposed to the more grim tone of the second half. One moment you're seeing something bitter and then suddenly bright colors everywhere, almost as if meant as happy people from Bleach. If I had the ability to travel back in time, I would go back to a time where everything wasn't as black-hearted as they are now. A time where I found pure enjoyment despite the harsh times. And of course, I go back to how I found this series to begin with. While I was getting into anime slowly but surely, I found something truly artistic, mesmerizing, and of course, unforgettable. I consider Strawberry Panic to be a fan favorite of the Yuri genre, but it's also a perfect entry for those who don't know what Yuri is. A love story between girls set in an all-girls countless school does come off as cliche, but underneath it all is a story that'll leave you wanting more. I know this because at the end, it left me wanting more. As someone who really wants to see an aftermath of the main series, Strawberry Panic left me wondering what became of these characters afterwards. But of course, you have to see those events unfold on your own. If you haven't seen Strawberry Panic yet, I recommend finding a Blu-ray box that contains all the episodes. A lovely package for first-timers. Strawberry Panic is also available on Crunchyroll and Tubi, and it hasn't been removed as of this recording. So rest assured there are alternatives. It's been 20 years since the debut of Strawberry Panic, and even though time can be one nasty entity, Strawberry Panic, for me at least, will remain timeless. Of course, Strawberry Panic isn't all sunshine and rainbows, but you see, there will always be someone out there, plotting and scheming within the Strawberry Halls. Okay, is it just me, or do women who are evil always scheme in the bathtub? Seriously, it's like a common theme that women who are evil always scheme in the bathtub. I don't know why I think this, it's just something I noticed. Thank you all so much for seeing this all the way through. And as always, if you found this video enjoyable or informative, then please share this with your friends, family, and anyone else who might like this video as much as you did. And pray that they themselves will succumb to the Strawberry Panic.
Get out! This is a podcast for the men!
Okay, real talk, you want to see an Easter egg? Notice how Nagisa, a redhead, wears green hair beads? Now you can't unsee it. Happy 20th anniversary!